Hi guys, welcome back. Scatlink here, and we're off for the potential finale of The Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. And in the last episode, the last chapter, shall I say, the Prince and Farah shared a connected dream, a very seductive one, sharing their love for one another after, the Prince's doubts and trust of Farah because of, what led to this point, basically. What led to the releasing of the sands in the first place, having every reason to hate him, and yet camaraderie was true. Even though she did eventually steal the sands of time, and she had that seductive look while doing it, she left the medallion for us so that we wouldn't fall to the sand, so she still has some level of care for us. Just making our way up here without the sands is a bit of a scary thought. Now, landing on this particular board can be very finicky, even if you're at the edge of the pole that we just swung off of. In fact, from the visions we just had from the previous sand vortex, which we're still able to interact with because of the medallion, didn't show it in that angle to make that jump, and unfortunately it's a pivot, and even when you went for this kind of perspective, that wouldn't have helped us. Thankfully it does here, but that particular jump around this board, just like in the Hall of Learning, to get down is kind of scuffed. Unfortunately, it's the only way to get here. Thankfully, though, you do get a checkpoint here. And the reason being is because, just spoilers, we get another cutscene. It's also the end of the visions that we had up to this point on the previous sand vortex.
Farah! Come back!
She must be using the dagger.
Farah, be careful! Don't use up all the sand!
Well, she's gone. We didn't catch up to her in time, but if she's using slowdown to get past everybody and rewinds to get past death-defying stunts that she's not used to doing, especially with a heavier sword on her back, at the same time, I mean, thankfully we built up the charges with the sand clouds that we've been collecting, but who knows how many she'll be using. Maybe she has been defeating some sand creatures to refill the tanks, who knows. But she's been seeing us use it, so she should know how to use it. Now, even though I had a decent time on defeating the sand zombies here, they can overwhelm you if you're unlucky, although there is obviously a fountain right here for some sippies if you need it. But I just want to clip in another moment where on the Steam Deck, yes, I know, it's the PC version, but at the same time it's on Steam Deck, therefore it's an old game running on newer hardware that's not on the operating system it's designed for, through Proton, and it is the GOG version, but you can get it on Steam anyway. There could be some potential problems. And since I mentioned the Hall of Learning, just like that spear dude, it happened here in the Steam Deck version where I couldn't damage him. Very strange. Looks like we make it, potentially, especially with that final flash forward of that vision. The amount of death-defying stunts that we've been happening to do without the ability to rewind is kind of actually crazy, but again, remember, this is a story, so the Prince somehow did manage to do all this without being able to rewind. Also, do not wall jump here, jump for the beam, which he should have grabbed, alright?
Wait, that's not right.
Yes, that wasn't right, because you were supposed to grab that beam. If I did a wall jump, even if I committed to the wall jump, I would have missed and fell, and if I failed the wall jump, I would have fell anyway and died. So, ironically enough, proving my point. That's what should have happened. He didn't grab it. And I shouldn't have gone against the wall. That was the wrong button. But you can actually kind of see where we are right here. We need to jump across this beam here in order to get onto this pillar. Because the pillar in the middle has that block, which we're not able to grab it for, because this was an archway that crumbled again. The sands of time that are emanating from the hourglass are eroding the place at an increased rate. Also just potential structural damage in general. Get the wall jump off here. We're up to this point on a broken balcony, so be careful. But we're still going to have to do all this, and meanwhile, Farah is just doing what she needs to do to live. For all we know, though, her rewinds could be potentially saving us. We're just not able to experience that. So maybe the prince, just like when Farah was being rewound by the effects of the sands of time to, you know, be brought back to life if she did die, like on that on the elevator ride that we had, in this particular playthrough at least, because that was kind of convenient. In other parts, she does mention that she feels like she experienced the moment before, so in a way, she had a vision. So for all we know, the prince knows he would mess up if he jumps too late, so he recalculates. Maybe he's having deja vu throughout this entire thing, plus the visions from the sand vortexes if you choose to enter them. So even in a gameplay kind of sense, the prince may still be using the sands of time to a certain extent with the power of deja vu in order to do these death-defying stunts without actually failing. Although the one in the tomb, which is completely optional by the way, you don't need to go back for that. You could just ignore the free sand creatures and just damage the door to go forward anyway. You wouldn't even know that save point was there, because you would have a checkpoint there after you get the sword regardless. You know, that one showed that we died. Like, we'd messed up the wall jump to get on the post in order to get into that battle. So, it's kind of interesting when you think about it. Like, did I just... I've lost my hair. Why has that happened? I'm going to attribute that to either a PS3 issue or remaster issue. That's interesting. Why is my hair de-rendered there? But specifically my hair, not my face or anything like that. Just my hair. I wasn't hoping to point out any more glitches in the particular run, just the fact that what I had in the library, where I couldn't hit that one blue soldier, happened here instead on the previous sand vortex we were just at. But yeah, that's a bit weird. Come on, bats, piss off. I haven't got time for this. I'm gonna turn around. There we are. 3 left. They fly away. They're still lingering. Why are they still lingering? Okay, now there's 2 left. Cheeky buggers. They weren't supposed to hang around after their 3 remaining, but there were. So, very strange. Who knows how much of a shortcut Farah took when going through that crack in the wall. These could be new cracks as well when we were locked in that tomb. The only reason why it's brighter is because of the accelerated erosion that happened. Oh, okay. That is what we were supposed to do. It just didn't like it. Actually, I don't think it is. I was supposed to shimmy. It's fine. I'll just jump back over here and grab the side again. Right, let's climb up here. That was a bigger than usual ledge, so I was actually able to run there. Camera? Please don't do that. I'll zoom it out. Sure, I'm going to keep it zoomed out then, because I don't want it like that. But yeah, the scope, the scale of the Tower of Dawn here. Scaling the outer edges. It's insane. Maybe the additional blast that the Vizier caused to blow us away also made this a thing. But also the Prince hasn't said anything because of the sheer amount of concentration he's happened to put in just to catch up to Farah and potentially, you know, not only question but also actually commit to what they were going to do in the first place. Especially with the dream that they shared, you're never going to forget a wet dream like that. Right, this looks a bit sus. What do we do here? Right, well, we're not going to be able to wall jump downwards inside because we'll just grab the ledge on the way back. We have to do it on the outside here. So we're going to have to do extended wall jumps to slowly lower ourselves safely down. Keep a rhythm. Up until a certain point, you will be safe. Even with a little bit of full damage, you will not die. I went for a roll there because I didn't want to take full damage. Thankfully, that all collapsed underneath, so we'll just run. Makes it very simple. And a ladder. Jump. Take out these bats, because they're in the way. Don't want them knocking us off. Like that. I did actually swing my sword.
No, that didn't happen either.
And that was a checkpoint, literally right there. I don't actually think the vision went this far, actually. I think that's when they normally put a checkpoint near the end of where the visions would have led you to, because you may not know, but at the same time, it's also at right before the point of another sand vortex. So that's what I mean by it's not completely unfair without rewinds, because you were probably used to it. I managed to grab the ladder again. That's actually pretty good. I guess because I was on the bottom of a ladder, I couldn't save myself. Come on. There we go. Right. Bugger off you. I should have just committed to swinging instead of dying. I'm just inflating the count at this point. Like, the only time that would happen in normal gameplay is if you couldn't rewind because you just absorbed a creature or you ran out of rewinds. Thankfully, though, Mega Freezing doesn't seem to be a necessary thing to do now that we are able to swap them out of the way. But getting comboed by both of the two at once, or three at once, is just going to be a nightmare. Okay, they became one, and then I knocked them out. That was pretty good. Frame rate dropped there due to the camera having a moment. Yeah, unfortunately, if they do get knocked down like that by their companions, I guess. I worded that sentence wrong. I wasn't too sure how to use that word. When they get knocked out by other sand zombies, we can't do anything with them. Annoyingly enough, we have to wait for them to get back up and not be well, we can still kill them if they're prone. But if they're on the floor, no stabby stabby. Is that over here? Not over here, but there is a fountain. I'll most certainly take that. Yeah, all the magic fountains that you gather are pretty much for this segment. So you can take a little bit more abuse while you're doing it. I mean, you could block and counter, but at the same time, I'm very bad at doing that. It's also a lot easier to perform in future games. Well, maybe not the immediate next one, but I'm talking about the original trilogy here. Drop down here. One more checkpoint before we reach the treasure vault once again. We are going to be reaching above the rest of the palace. So we must be close. This might be our final segment of platforming. Right, what do we do here? A wall run along the edge of the wall might seem prudent, but at the same time, it just kind of crumbles away there. So that might not be the best for footing. So let's go back up a bit. And start from here. This post here. If you want to grab it, Prince. There we go. So, fun fact. With my thumbnail, I was debating that I would want to pose with my movie copy of the Dagger of Time. They released like a toy that you could... Similar to what they do with Power Rangers. You can buy like merch like roleplay toys like the Power Blast and all that with the reignition line. But in this case, they made a Dagger of Time based off the movie. And you know I had to have that. And I got that at a particular Christmas, I think. I think my nan got it for me. And I didn't mind the movie. It was fine. But it's not like that you can get the blue one at all. Because, I mean, obviously you can get 3D prints and custom-made stuff. But this is official. And it was pretty cool. I might use it for a future thumbnail for another Prince of Persia game in the timeline. Who knows? Timeline, get it. I am skipping a lot of the platforming here because you can just wall run. They kind of want you to death-defy jump across some of these beams, but wall running just kind of skips them all. And it's not like that. It's not part of your basic moveset. You do it since the start of the game. So, of course, I'm going to use the more cool option, which is also more faster. I don't think you can jump across that particular gap, but the first one you could have done so. We got a wall jump here, and it's kind of a scary thing to do. I want to climb first before I do it. So we're higher up, because you... Thankfully, the camera does change, so we can see what we're doing. How close are we to the top? Very! We have done a lot of scaling this building. It is insane. That is not a way to go. There's a water fountain here in case we need it. in case we got nibbled by bats and not become a vampire. Sounds time. I don't know. There's a beam there, and unfortunately we can't wall climb anymore, so they get kind of on your case about that. If you do need to heal, I would recommend that even if you take some chip damage, go and heal. Because these bats will be annoying. Okay, if I'm going to clang the wall like that, I will most certainly get bitten. And again, no matter what level your sword is, these bats just take one hit to kill, but you still need to exterminate enough of them so they bugger off. I don't think you can ever kill an entire flock of bats. Is that the right term? Gaggle of bats? I have no idea. Okay, they buggered off, and I didn't take any damage. Very nice. Right. Got some precarious debris here that just happened to land where it did. More bats. Kill them. Let's not clang all the time, please. Oh dear. Ah, I got them and they hit me. Well, I'm not going back now. I'm on the opposite side of the beam. I can take with chip damage. It's fine. Oh, do they just leave me be if I just continue on? Oh, okay, I can skip those. Nice. I normally take them out just to be on the safe side. But speaking of being on the safe side, we need to get up there. There's this post here, and I don't think there's a good telltale way on seeing it. So put the camera like this, and then jump when you think is good. Okay, I locked onto that. That was lucky, because the camera decided to change right when I was about to get ready to press the button. Get as high as possible, jump away, so that we can land here. I don't think you will take full damage, but you will certainly not die unless you miss it. Now we're on the railings. Yeah, I think we just swing up and we make it. There we are. And there's that ladder that we saw. The last part of our vision so far. Thankfully, the camera actually gives us a good angle here. Nice. No, I don't want to flip because I don't feel I can climb. There we are. Grab that post. And we've made it back in. We're almost back at the top. And that was the wrong way, but that's fine. Just wall jump and in we get.
Farah, no!
What we saw has come to pass. We were holding the blade of the dagger at a time while Farah was over a precipice, or in this case a ledge, which we are right above the room with the hourglass of time. And you can see that we weren't able to rewind what just happened to save Farah's life, because unfortunately Farah had used all of the sands to get to this point. And so we came literally just a little bit too late. But you saw there, she didn't have anything bad for us to say, or give us a chance. Thank you for knocking him down. I can actually have a single rewind if things get too hairy. Even though we can one-shot, unfortunately we can't absorb to even rewind up to that point, because every time we absorb, that resets the counter. So even if we could absorb, Farah's gone. And she uttered her secret word once again, showing that she really did care for the prince, despite everything they went through. Sacrifice, sure, but it did spur us to leave the tomb. Although, you know, we got besieged by sand creatures, so we kind of had to make a run for it anyway. But that was only possible because the sands kept emanating and caused erosion. Otherwise, we would have been stuck in that tomb this entire time. That's when Farah decided to take her chance. Despite, once again, questioning trust. There are fountains So you can heal if you need to. You are not going to get any power tanks, that is most certain. If you want rewinds for whatever reason, although it's pointless, and you'll see why, we are literally right above the hourglass I mentioned. A single hit from the Sword of the Enlightened Warrior will dispel the Sand's power and knock out these zombies. So, letting them knock each other down is pointless. The palace is crumbling. It is desolate, void of life. The sands have done their damage. Even if we continue, it would be pointless. This is our final sand vortex. Save if you must.
As you wish. Bravely I had fought and slain my enemies. Honor and glory were mine. But though I fight until the desert sands themselves were red with blood, I could not bring back the dead. No. No.
The girl is unimportant. Give me the dagger, and I will give you power. Eternal life will be yours.
Live forever, and those I loved are dead and I to blame. I choose death.
Would have been nice if we could have moved like that throughout the entirety of the game. It's amazing what adrenaline will do for me. So we know how the story began. Balcony. We were telling the story. We started it from there. We were actually starting at the end of the game.
Do not be afraid. This belongs to you.
The Dagger of Time. But it is locked away within my father's treasure vault. How?
Most people think time is like a river that flows swift and sure in one direction. But I have seen the face of time, and I can tell you, they are wrong. Time is an ocean in a storm. You may wonder who I am and why I say this. Sit down, and I will tell you the tale like none that you have ever heard. No further. I am the sun, and that is why I have come. To warn you and your father to arrest this treacherous vizier before he betrays you and brings ruin on us all. His signal is a flaming arrow shot into the air. Prevent him, and my father's army will know the traitor has been unmasked. They will turn back.
A wild tale indeed. I have a simpler version. A Persian soldier, lusting for glory, entered the chambers of the Maharaja's daughter and was slain by me.
Yeah, all you want is the dagger, mate. That's all you've been saying this entire time.
Your Highness, for your own safety, I suggest you flee. I will handle this intruder.
You'll have to fight 3 clones of the Vizier because he's got a protective barrier while he's controlling a puppet clone of himself in sword combat. Because he's concentrating on his magic to protect himself. Because he's old and feeble because he was coughing up blood.
What sorcery is this? Stop this at once!
My lady, he came here to abduct you. Surely you do not believe him.
He will betray you. All will happen as I have foretold.
How inventive. Do not forget, he is a Persian soldier.
Actually, we're the Prince of Persia. Get it right, mate.
What I told you is no story.
Even though you were framing it as such.
It happened. I mean... it will happen.
There we are, that's one clone down.
Your exertions are most amusing.
Where is she? There's Farah.
Let him be brought before my father. He will judge.
Yeah, she doesn't have a bow in this situation. This is her bed.
Vizier, I have commanded you to stop. Do you disobey?
I've taken orders long enough from a senile fool and a sniveling brat. Our father was a great warrior in his youth. Or so. A pity his son...
I couldn't rewind for some reason there. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit slapped, but you can see that the stagger time's completely filled.
And again, perhaps father and son are alike. It would appear that both shared a taste for easy plunder.
You waste your breath. What little you possess.
Fully replenished because of the Hourglass of Time completely refilled it.
You perceive my malady. The consumption that is... I will handle this intruder.
I'm not really getting a chance to speak edgewise here. You just gotta keep on getting into his defences and then combo him when you get the chance to take out another clone. After 3 clones, we will be done.
Did you really think you could defeat me?
Stu can't get through.
Careful. Don't tire yourself.
It shows that his spells aren't really that strong, but you know what he didn't count on doing? A Mega Freeze! If I didn't have the ability to rewind, which I already have done. Unfortunately, because there were no sands, if you remember when we picked up the Dagger of Time, it had a few charges in it already, and we used one in a cutscene, hence why it had only 3 out of 4 charges. It is always filled upon its last use with the Hourglass. You can basically use it as a dispensary. So whatever we have is what we have. So yeah, you could use the Mega Freeze, but you can only use it on 1 clone. So you just gotta keep on doing the Dance of Deception here, because if he's just going for a protective spell to keep himself safe, it's really just a fencing match. But that staff is another artifact of time, like the medallion and the dagger, which is why it is super strong and durable. Thankfully all the banter's ended now, so I can actually speak, but yeah. That's why the Dagger of Time is filled up. Sorry for the broken commentary here. It's just get through. There we are. Ah, he got me. Bugger. You know what? There we are. This time I could get a vault off of there. No, that time I couldn't. Yep, you left yourself wide open, mate. You're done! I don't think you can get the double dash slam. Right, get him. I just noticed he's got the medallion symbol on his turban as well. Shows what power he really wants.
And so it ends. How will the Maharaja feel when he finds his only daughter slain by the son of his enemy? Do you have any last words you wish me to communicate to the princess before I kill her? Words of love, perhaps?
You know what? Screw you, old man. Get out of it. Down. Don't know why he didn't attack us when we were prone, but he wasted his opportunity.
I could have been immortal.
Then it's true. He was a traitor.
Take this. Return it to your father's treasure vault.
guard it well.
I owe you thanks. But why did you invent such a fantastic story? Do you think me a child, that I would believe such nonsense? I said I owe you thanks. You presume too much.
She knows the power of the dagger, though.
Such a fantastic story. Do you think me a child, that I would believe such nonsense?
You're right. It was just a story.
Wait! I don't even know your name.
Just call me Kakolukia.
And that is the Sands of Time. He told his story of a timeline that is no longer a thing except for what is in his mind because of the Grand Rewind, and only by uttering Farah's special word did she realise no one else knows that word other than my mother or grandma, and he knows it. A big giveaway as to how he was telling the truth, and Farah knows it. So the love story, or that quote-unquote story, all the events that he told or foretold happened. So even though it was rewound, Farah knows it's the truth, and the prince goes on with the vizier dead. And that is Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. What a classic. Now, obviously, we had a couple of glitches here and there. Again, I haven't played the remaster, which is what we've been playing on the PS3. Got a couple of achievements in that final cutscene as well. But, more importantly, he rewound after a kiss because you presumed too much. I'm going to go backwards through this real quick. So, first point. If you did somehow use all of your rewind charges of your sand tanks, how would he have done that in that cutscene? Because that is a contradiction as to why you didn't rewind when you were in mid-fall, because you may or may not have had any rewinds available when you fell into the prison. Why did you not rewind? That's number one. Second of all, she said that you think that I'm a child. You know how the Dagger of Time works, because you were teaching the prince how to do that at the start, which, by the way, was part of the story that he told. This is how he knows how the Dagger of Time works. And when he was explaining that it could rewind time, that's what happened. Also, look how many times that this game has been dubbed in different languages. Quite a lot of times. Also, I meant Shahraman, not Saruman, because that's someone completely different. There's also Solomon, but that's for another story, which is technically the next chapter of this, in certain ways, because apparently Forgotten Sands is different on every version of the game. Which is like separate stories, but they are still a story about Forgotten Sands, which is what I was talking about with the sort of enlightened warrior. And I'm trying to speak throughout this entire thing, because even though this song is amazing, time only knows what a phenomenal ending track. Obviously, I don't want to, have problems, so I am speaking over it and playing it a lot quieter, but please give it a listen. It is phenomenal. And again, with this story in general, the game is amazing, and the fact that you can have checkpoints even without rewinds because it's framed as a story, the fact that as you click new game, you are already technically right before the final boss, but you've got to tell the story first, which is what you play through, because he's narrating the story, and then once you trigger the grand rewind, guess what? You're back where you were on the balcony, telling that story. That was Farah's bedroom. And then you have the final boss fight with the Vizier, which is basically just a fencing match, fair enough. But guess what? This is supposed to be like a 3D reboot of the original Prince of Persia trilogy, because the 3D game, which is the third after the Shadow of the Flame, didn't do very well, which is why they rebooted with Sands of Time and that chronology of games in that particular universe, that storyline, that timeline. You had to have a fencing match against the Vizier, and they did it in a way that makes sense, because even though you'd think that he would have magic, he just sends 3 clones after you while making himself invincible. He wants immortality, which is why he wants the Dagger of Time and the Sands of Time. But, yeah, because, he could just rewind whenever something comes along, but he's already an old man, so how would that work? He wouldn't be able to stay alive for that long. And if you're a sand zombie, well, you're just a sand zombie, so that wouldn't make sense. But the staff he wields is also part of the set of the time artifact, so maybe that would have some effect to it. And when it comes to the reason why he doesn't strike you down after talking you down, saying that, do you have any last words to Farah before I kill her? He just kind of struggles to move, and you can just slap him with another combo, and that's it, and you win. Like, he just stands there. You could stand there for as long as you want. He would never attack you at that point. So, he threatens you, and it just ends. You just smack him. His health really does fail him. He just can't do what he wants to do, because that's why he would ensue the coup, in order to, you know, invade the Maharaja's treasure vault in the first place to get it. But remember, that none of that takes place in the palace that we were in for the majority of the story, which was the Sultan's palace, because we go to the Maharaja's palace first before making our way to Azad. So if you think about that for a minute, technically we never went to Azad. And there we go. We're ready to continue the rest of the story going forward. A nice ending, a tragic love story that unfortunately never blossomed in the first place, but Farah knows what happened, and she knows it's true because of that secret word that was uttered. Quite cool. And of course, if you're playing on the US Xbox version of the game exclusively, you would also unlock the original Prince of Persia game on Macintosh instead of the I've forgotten what version it is for the second game, but you get what I mean. But here we only have the making of and credits. I'm not going to play the making of, obviously, because it's, you know, documentary stuff, so that might be a problem. But apparently every version of the game has it, which is quite nice. And of course the credits if you want to listen to it again. What I want to do, though, as I play the music again, is to go to our trophies. I'm going to count this, syncing. 84% completion already. There's not that many trophies for this game at all. Obviously, the platinum is to get everything else, but what we got at the end there was, if I can find it, big fight, kill the Vizier, and finish the game. So you basically get those both at the exact same time, effectively, which were the two that we got. The only ones that we didn't get, and I'll go down in order, is the Sands of Time, play the game for over 2 hours. If I saved where I was, I think I'll be at the 5-hour mark, because the save that I did at the start of this episode was at 4 hours 44 minutes. Next is the Master of Time, rewind 200 times, and Game Master, complete the game rewinding less than 20 times. Now, if you're good at the game and you don't have any jank and you're also good at the combat, you might be able to actually get through the game without rewinding too many times. Maybe a good method on getting through the game is to skip everything and maybe speedrun it, but not with glitches, because that actually does require rewinds. Speedrun it with normal gameplay, no glitches. You don't have that many sand tanks, so that would force you to be a lot more sparing. But I do want to make mention of the Master of Time, which I will technically reward because you can technically cheese it. Because there's one thing that I can actually show you, which would basically require a very small bonus episode, but I actually have a bonus episode slated that was kind of a mess on this version, which you will see, because this very finale video had a bit of a problem that I had to rectify, hence why in the last episode, after, you know, coming out of the tomb, my health is a little bit different. So I'm going to load file, and get to, let's get to somewhere fitting. So let's go back to the top of the Hourglass for a second. Alright, so now that we're in, I'm just going to waste my sands real quick. This is going to just continuously trigger Farah to say that she's experienced this moment before, but I just want to completely empty out the dagger. I guess I could have done it while we were fighting the sand creatures, but, you know, I'd be getting knocked around at that point, so that would be a bit pointless. So, let's get rid of all this. There we are. So now, we want to hold L3, which is the left analog stick, that would be the same on PS2 and PS3, and the code I'm going to read out is the same for PS2 and PS3, but for GameCube, I'll put on screen as well as Xbox and PC, because I don't know the buttons off by heart, but it'll be the same actions. So as you know, stab is triangle, swing is square, circle is to put away and drop down, and X is to jump and confirm. So what we want to do, and hopefully Farah won't get in the way, is that we want to hold the left analog stick down, as in click it for the button. In GameCube it will be different. And then we want to circle, circle, X, square, square, X, triangle, triangle. You see that? Just refilled everything. And then you can just waste your charges again in order to easily get the 200 necessary to have that achievement. So I will be including that because that'll be an easy one to do. But as I said before, you could easily just use all your tanks before you absorb a sand cloud, because that's also a full recovery. So you don't need to use this glitch, but if you manage to beat the game within less than 20, you could get both in a single run, technically, by just loading up another save. So if I were to do it again, hold the left stick. Sorry, they were still talking because she kept on saying the same thing. Circle, circle, X, circle, circle, X, square, square, X, triangle, triangle. And I wasn't doing it fast enough. Look at that. That's pretty magical, isn't it? Circle, circle, X, square, square, circle, triangle, triangle. There we go. I did it as I was saying it. Happy days. Now, while I'm just doing this particular round as well, since I'm talking, there is one more technical cheat, but it's only GameCube exclusive. If you have the GBA version of Prince of Persia Sands of Time, while plugged in with a Game Boy Advance to GameCube link cable, you can get regenerative health. You know, while doing this, because it's taken a good while actually, I'm just wondering, is it actually possible to get this without using this code? I mean, if you did it the way I suggested, you might be close, but I don't actually know if there's a potential possible 200 rewinds you could use. I'm not entirely too sure. Oh, there we are. I got it. Wow, I just said that, and then I got it. So there we are, Master of Time. Thank God for that. That was taking a while. And then I can just quit because I already have the trophy. It's not like a skill point in the game, but there we go. So that was really the only true bonus that I could cover. That wasn't everything that we already covered as we were passing through the Ancient Palace underneath the Royal Baths, because that is right then and there. You can't unlock anything else except for, as I said, the original game on the Xbox version by beating the game, the US Xbox version. But for every other version, beating the game doesn't actually give you anything other than the PS3 version being the beat the game and kill the Vizier achievement. So, but yeah, that is the end of Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that ride. That was a hell of a story. This is a fantastic game that I recommend you play. It is readily available on Steam and GOG if you want to keep your own copy. Although it's not exactly compatible with modern controllers. There's a preset that you can load that translates keyboard strokes to a controller, so you can still play it that way. But of course, the best way is to play it on an actual console. Whatever version fits your boat, they all have their perks. Xbox obviously has probably the best design, plus the most amount of bonuses, especially if you're in the US, and it can be played on all of the Xboxes up until the latest version due to backwards compatibility, which is absolutely amazing. So that's probably technically the most modern version. You've also got, on PC, as I mentioned already, GameCube, if you have the GBA separate game, which is not the same, obviously, because it's GBA, it's not 3D. But it does unlock extra bonuses for you in that regard for the game. Not for Sands of Time, but the other way round. And of course, PS2 is the base version, but it can be played on PS3s, and you have the PS3 version itself, which I believe is streamable onto a PS4 and PS5. So I hope you enjoyed that. This was, of course, in defiance of the fact that we're still waiting for the remake, which should hopefully be dropping in 2026, like their latest teaser that showed no gameplay said, because you're like, it's coming, but then it's like, in 2026. I'm just like, all you once again showed was a logo. So this was in defiance of that. And I wanted to cover this before they announced the remake, but then it got delayed into high heavens, and then on that particular instance, I was like, screw it, I'm covering the original, I'm done waiting. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I will probably be getting to the rest of the series at some point, in terms of the Sands of Time. I was going to say quadrilogy because of Forgotten Sands, but technically each version of Forgotten Sands is also a different story. So, and they all fit in the storyline, the timeline and all that, as well as the Battles of Prince of Persia on DS. Yeah, I've gone down the rabbit hole. And even though I do like the PS3 and PC versions of Forgotten Sands, which is the one that they pushed and is the most accurate one, because the Wii version is its own separate story, PSP version is a 2D side-scroller and it's a separate story, but still has similar gameplay with the wall running and all that. Like being in the 3D remake of the first level of this game. But yeah, the original trilogy of Prince of Persia games, being the first one, Shadows of the Flame, and the first 3D one, they're their own separate continuity, which I don't have any interest in playing. It's this storyline involving the Sands of Time. So, I'll see you guys for whatever we do next on the channel, most likely Mother 3, because that's also in defiance, as is the theme for this year, because Nintendo will not release it worldwide, although it technically is. I don't want to be using Google Lens pointed at my screen to know what's going on, so that is what we've been doing live. And we are now ready for our Halloween special for 2025. So we'll see you guys next time as we dive into another fantastical story that gets a bit of a dark twist. See you guys then.
This belongs to you.
The Dagger of Time. But it is locked away within my father's treasure vault. How?
Most people think time is like a river that flows swift and sure in one direction. But I have seen the face of time, and I can tell you, they are wrong.